Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Formula Virtual Racing. We're here this evening for the Belgian Grand Prix, and in what should be a very interesting race in what's been a very interesting championship. Last week, of course, in Hungary, we had an absolute corker. We had a lot of drama and a lot of controversy that has set up nicely for a decent Belgian Grand Prix. Joining alongside me in the commentary box for this evening, as per usual, it is Brendan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. So we're here for what looks like a bit of a wet Spa-Francorchamps, but that should make it all more interesting. Obviously, last week, either Lewis or Luke had the kind of race it want, and well, now obviously Luke did manage to extend his lead by 2 points to put it out to three, and actually, however, both Lewis and Luke will have to deal with the fact that, well, we've had one Blue Shelby as not here this week, so they've been replaced with another. Welcome back, Juan Hernandez.
Yeah, Juan and Thomas both making returns this evening, but of course last week in Hungary it was Luke Davies that extended his championship lead. It was by only 2 points, but an extension is an extension at this stage in the championship, and you can see Luke Davies does lead the Formula Virtual Racing World Drivers' Championship by 3 points over Lewis McWilliam. Tyler Pistilli promoting himself to third, taking his first win last week, of course, in the Hungaroring. Dara Smith falls to fourth, and he'll keep falling because he's not here this evening. Borbune is in fifth position, but qualifying has got underway here in Spa-Francorchamps. It is a wet and windy one, as we see Adrian Teicher, the first man out on the circuit. This should be an interesting qualifying. We've had wet qualifying in the past here in Spa-Francorchamps. We've had dry to wet qualifying, of course, in Season 2, and we've had lots of, I suppose, rain spells, if you'd like to say, is Adrian. That is impressive car control. As we've had wet spells and wet controversy, of course. We've had dry controversy as well. The two McLarens of Legend Rosenberg and Lewis McWilliam coming to blows as well in season number 7, I want to say. Yeah, season 7, Legends last season. But Adrian Teicher is going to be the first man to get qualifying underway. Adrian, of course, had one of the nicest moments of parking in Formula Virtual Racing history here in Spa last season, where he was kind of just flicking it left and right and left and right and left and right, and then just stopped in the perfect position for his quid slot. But he'll be the first man to go on a hot lap here in Belgium. One of the longest circuits on the calendar, lap record a minute and 46 that belongs to Valtteri Bottas. Will be lapping near the 2-minute mark, I would imagine, here in wetter conditions.
Yep, it'll be a challenge for all these drivers. See a long enough track already. We obviously the straight speed and still 7 kilometers is a lot to get through in the lap, and even more when it's wet. It just puts the extra bit challenge into the Spa-Francorchamps track. The mileage has been removed slightly with how quick this car can go nowadays. Like, so Rouge are now completely flat. Go is maybe just a slight break as opposed to being a greater challenge in previous years. Then see now, where do Lewis and Luke line up here? There's only 3 points, and this time McWilliam doesn't have a qualifying ban to limit himself.
No, he does not. There's only 2 qualifying bans here today, and they're actually quite substantial ones. It is former Belgian Grand Prix winner Gabadi who has one, and Borbune. So 2 of the quicker folk, I suppose you could say, have qualifying suspensions for both receiving 6 driver penalty points here in the Hungaroring. And I feel bad for Vesta because he wasn't even there, but it was just due to admin sort of things, I suppose you could say. Not as in admin as in person who runs the league, as in administration. Whereas here comes Adrian Teicher then, entering in towards the right-hander of Stavalo. We'll see a sector split time. Obviously it's going to be purple because he's the first man on a lap, and he's still kept it valid. Just seems to be struggling a little bit with the conditions here, heading through the rights and lefts and up towards turn number 70.
No, Houseman's got to the wall. He's out.
Oh, Houseman out.
He's not out.
Oh no, he's okay.
He's got caught with a Williams going up over Rouge.
No front wing, that's for sure. He's completely shattered his front wing. Let's see Adrian Teicher then set the benchmark. A driver who is quite decent in qualifying as, someone's just hit the wall in front. That's a Scuderia Ferrari. As there is Adrian Teicher, sets the benchmark. 156.3 is what he's got to set. It'll be a fellow Canadian and now Canadian Grand Prix winner. Not in Canada, he's in the Canadian that's won a Grand Prix. He's going to beat this time of Adrian Teicher. 154.9 for Tyler Pistilli. Next man across the line is going to be the Scuderia Ferrari of Jake Marsh, and he's actually not going to set a time, but Viggo Anderson will go to third. And there is a debutant who's gone to third position now to beat Viggo. That is Duab, who has gone to third position. Yafan Panguru has gone to second. The German quite likes wet conditions. He excelled in the wet race earlier on in the year. Here comes the championship leader then. This is Lightning Luke Davies rounding the final corner through the bus stop chicane. Is this going to be good enough for pole position? It absolutely is, by the closest of margins. Just about beats Tyler Pistilli. Next across the line, that'll be Thomas Main, who goes to fifth. The Belgian, who's won here in Belgium before. He steps into a reserve duties for Jarrah Smith this evening, and we will see Tim Den Hyer cross the start finish line now, and he's not able to beat his stand-in teammate. There goes Lewis McWilliams to the top off. Not even a competition. He goes to the top in second and 4 on pole position. That's an insane lap from Lewis McWilliams. Liam Houseman is trundling back to the pit lane. There goes Jonathan Jurgensmeyer to 5th. Here's Niels Hartl. He's just starting a lap. He disconnected at the start of the session, it seems, and Andrew Davis will be the next man to round the bus stop chicane and heading through turn number 20. Here comes Davis across the start-finish line. That's good enough for 10th, but he is 3 seconds off McWilliams' time as of now. Wet qualifying is sort of an interesting one, because drivers just like to sort of take a Tyler Pistilli approach and just continue doing laps. Adrian Teicher is one of them, and he's improving by 0.8 of a second here on this run. Wonder, is that an indication that conditions are getting slightly better here in Spa-Francorchamps?
Yeah, it doesn't seem too bad at the moment. And most of these drivers time should start to fall down just through doing laps. Either way, that's it. McWilliam very much at the front, or as at the front at the moment.
Oh, Pistilli goes to second, 5/10s off. Teicher went to 6th. Marsh goes to 5th. Good lap from Jake Marsh, who's had some interesting moments here in Spa-Francorchamps in the past. He, of course, spun off the start-finish straight and off his grid slot. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer is now in 7th. Next to completing lap it'll be Luke Davies, I believe, because of course Bohr isn't able to set a lap. No, he's actually backed off. Was improving by a 10th heading through Stavelot, but he's now backed off. Hello to Kyle, who's watching. He said he's had an epiphany, and Conor Daly will win the Indy 500. That's my goodness me, is that an interesting prediction, Kyle? I expected better from you. Here comes Luke Davies starting his next lap then. Thomas Main goes to 2nd. I was reading Kyle's comment when that happened, but Thomas Main puts it in 2nd position, running back the years in his Haas Formula 1. He's never driven for Haas, so I'm not too sure why I said that, but he's certainly running back the years, that's for sure. Next across the start finish line it won't be Tim. He's come into the pit lane. It'll be an Alpine. I believe it'll be the Alpine of Juan Hernandez, a name that you haven't heard in a while. He is rounding the final corner and just getting ready to start. Still doesn't come out at the start of qualifying. Never change, Juan. Never change. There's a few people who wish you'd change, Juan, but never change. It is good to have El Villano back in Formula Virtual Racing. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer crosses the start-finish line. No improvement there for him. No improvement on this occasion for Adrian Teicher either. How's Luke doing? Not very well. He's invalidated, unfortunately, for him. He'll have to go back around again. How about Juan through this first sector? Let's see what the Alpine can do. I wonder, is Juan going to be the spanner in the works here for the Drivers' Championship? Heading in towards Lake Gaume chicane. It's a 32.2. Of course, we're not going to get a delta time, as he's not quite set a lap yet here in the session. Thomas Main parked it at Pouhon. Not sure if he's made a mistake or something. Pistilli still carrying round. Davies still improving, but is invalid, of course, so nothing will really count. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer finds a 10th of a second here in the first sector.
Yeah, I've just checked Luke Davies' stream, and while you know how it, like, in sometimes different symbols, like we see the R is sunny, but then the start of the race, I believe, is to be wet. And if I just keep checking here, after 15 minutes, wet.
Is it wet to drop?
30 minutes wet, and then presumably we'll check for the hour before 5 minutes still wet.
Oh, it's just a wet race, isn't it?
60 minutes wet, yeah.
Oh, it's just a wet race. Oh, bit of battling. That's Yava Panguru, and I think it's Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, who has some valid, so they're obviously doing a little bit of racing here. What about Liam Houseman? He's heading just through La Source, turn number 1. How's Juan getting on them? Heading in towards the bus stop chicane. It is very weird to see Juan in an Alpine. Won't lie. Oh, hold on, actually. In Season 2 and 3, he drove, or in Season 2 certainly, he drove for Renault, so it is actually a return. He goes behind Panguru and goes to 6th. Is that a confidence booster for Yathan? Is that a sort of a confidence hitter for Juan? Not too sure, but they're 5th and 6th now, and that's good stuff from the Alpines. He's, of course, replacing Aaron McFall. So, one FVR legend to another. One may have a significant larger amount of, I want to say intelligence, but it's not a bit too mean.
We might need to consult the public opinion on that.
I think they'd agree wholeheartedly, but Davies heading through Wuhan, and Aaron knows we joke about Aaron, so don't worry, because Aaron will take it well. Aaron just doesn't really care about anything. Like genuinely, if something happened to Aaron, if he got taken out, he'd just say, oh well, I'm gonna go clean my car, or no, I'll do something else. He genuinely just does not care, and I suppose it's a good attitude to have as Luke Davies. Oh, right of a wobble, heading through the Coombe Frere, heading up towards Blanchimont. Wants to keep this car a little bit more stable than it had, but he is finding time. He's found about 4/10. That'll put him ahead of Jake Marsh, not quite close enough to Pastilli, Main and McWilliam. If it is a wet race, I have a fear that Lewis McWilliam might do quite well in it. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I mean, from an entertainment factor, it might not be the most interesting one for a race win perspective. Here comes Davies across the line. That will be Jake Marsh, and he'll go 7/10 off pole position. The Scotsman is back on a time, but Liam Houseman goes to third. His good qualifying form continues. Let's just hope it carries it into the race this time. Of course, was in the battle for pole the last time out in the Hungaroring. Got on the front row, I believe. Led the race in towards turn number 1 and was leading the race for the first few laps, and unfortunately it all went downhill from there for Liam Houseman, but he's up to third here in qualifying. I believe his hand is all better and there's not much of a hand injury. Avesta, going to hope you're on an outlap here, my friend, as you have a qualifying suspension.
Well,
no, he isn't. He isn't on an outlap. Oh, Avesta.
Has somebody told? Wait, he
definitely knows, because I spoke about him. I spoke about it today with him.
Well,
oh, he's ran wide through Longchamp. He's
invalidated.
But he still technically broke the rules. You're only allowed an outlap.
Yeah.
And he's carried on while we're watching him. Avesta. Think you're in a spot of bother, my friend.
Yeah. It's the kind of technicalities where we would actually want to use the presence of one another there.
And the thing is, we had this incident before with Thomas Main, and he was like, oh, it technically wasn't in the regulation how to serve a qualifying ban, and he got away with it, meaning it's 100% in the regulation now, Vesta. You're a bit in the mud there, my friend. Speaking of the devil, Thomas Main carrying on his qualifying. There's 5 minutes to go. He's getting a bit of a tow from one of the Mercedes. I wonder, is that Avesta or is that Jonathan Jurgensmeyer? I think it's Jurgensmeyer. Main, purple in the first sector. 31.6, good run from the Belgian.
Yeah, it'd be a good run. Luke Davies be hoping that Thomas will maybe give him a hand here and just, well, go faster than Lewis McWilliam. That would be the short and long way to say it. He just needs people to go faster than Lewis McWilliam, because the more people to go faster than, the less chance with McWilliam.
Yeah, but you're getting to a point here is Luke can't really rely on everybody else to win his championship for him. Yeah. He's got to start performing.
Yeah. The issue for him is, like, where...
Do I think he can beat Lewis in this qualifying session? No, absolutely not. Do I think he can beat him in the race? It depends how it's ran. It really does depend how it's ran. Thomas, though, heading through Stavelone and towards the Coombe Frere. He's improving by 3/10. If it was not to be a Lewis McWilliam pole position, I have a feeling who it might go to, as here comes Thomas Main, absolutely flying. This car looks really good here in Spa-Francorchamps. Thomas can sometimes be a little bit hit or miss in wet conditions, but he's certainly on the money here in qualifying so far. 3:50 to go, and braking for the bus stop chicane. The Haas just swimming through the bus stop chicane. Here comes Thomas Main then, round the final corner. Is this enough for pole here at his home circuit? It absolutely is, and it's a 1:53.426 for the Belgian, who goes on the top. But what is Lewis finding as Avesta's retired from the session? He's not set a lap, so he is okay, and Lewis, oh, he's backed off. Lewis has backed off. Pistilli is getting ready to start a lap as well, as is Duab. Oh, I believe he's just gone on one, actually. Andrew Davis getting ready to start. Nils Hartl invalid, and I have to say, Nils got a podium in Britain in these conditions. Although it's a bit of a weird one in Britain, wasn't it? It was sort of a tyre catastrophe, as per usual, at Silverstone these days. But Nils Hartl will be looking for a little bit more. Here comes the Scotsman then, double Formula Virtual Racing World Drivers' Champion, looking for his third to match the mighty legend Rosenberg. But let's see what Lewis McWilliam can do here on this lap. Heads into La Source, decent through there, a little bit slidey, but nothing major.
Yeah, not too bad so far. I'd say, McWilliam, what can he do? Because I want to assume that this lap will be a bit of a substantial improvement, because even Thomas, who was second, needed half a second just to get ahead of McWilliam by a small margin. He's already improving there in the first sector by around a little under a tenth. And that would be enough to snatch back pole position already. And so in sector 2, you really see a lot of improvement because of more corners and just very more speed, and that's where improvement comes, as opposed to straight where one exit really determines everything. I have to also watch likes of Luke to see what can they do. He do, because at the moment doesn't really look like he's going to transfer pole position.
Yeah, we'll see here then. We need to keep an eye on everyone. This is another case of Lewis McWilliam starting his lap earlier than others. That's a yellow flag as Thomas has found more, and there's a snap for Lewis McWilliam. Maybe flustered by the sight of the Belgian finding time. 2/10 now the gap here as we head in towards Stavolo. The Scotsman, does he have it? He doesn't. Needs to find time in this last sector. Will have another bite of the cherry, but how will his ERS and fuel fare for one more shot at the Ardennes region? Or the track in the Ardennes region, so to speak. There's a huge gap between Liam Houseman and Thomas Main, 7/10. Lewis McWilliam the only man within that gap. Here he goes then in towards the bus stop. Is this Red Bull just a rocket ship down in towards the newly refurbished final chicane? Here comes the Scotsman across the start finish line. Is it pole in Spa? It's not pole in Spa. He needs to go again. He needs to be quicker. He needs to try and find 0.036 to beat Thomas Main in his own backyard. Thomas not improving. He's had 2 laps. Houseman finding time in the first sector. How is the lightning bolt himself doing? Improving. Heading through X curve. What about Jonathan Jurgensmeyer? He's going up to the start finish line to start his final run. There'll be no improvement from Marsh on this lap. He'll have another go again. What about Tyler Pistilli? Can he snatch something great after taking his debut win last week? Juan Hernandez has found his second in the middle sector. What's this one going to fare like for the Spaniard, who's definitely not used to conditions like these growing up in the Canary Islands? But let's see what's this lap fares from. In towards the bus stop chicane. We're in the dying embers of the session now. Here comes Hernandez across the start-finish line. Is it good enough for pole? It's only 6th for Juan Hernandez, which is not a bad return. Luke Davies has found 4/10 to be fair to him. He's not doing too shabby. Needs a lot more than that though. Needs over that. Needs over double that, I should say, to snatch pole. That'll be Duab, who's out of the session. Unfortunate there for him. Luke just real slidey through the bus stop. Where can this put the championship leader? It's gonna put him on the second row. That'll be 3rd for Luke Davies. Lewis McWilliam is finding time. Is it enough? Not quite sure. We'll see the second sector split here. Oh, this is going to be exceptionally close. This is going to be exceptionally close. And Houseman! Oh, look where he's gone! He's taken the front row here. 0.009. This could be the closest qualifying in Formula Virtual Racing history. What about Lewis McWilliam heading through he's backed off. Lewis has backed off. He won't even start at the front row. What about Tyler Pistilli? Found a 10th and a half in the middle sector. Can he find enough as he comes across the start finish line? Here comes the AlphaTauri. Is he able to go in the front row? It will be, as Juan has found time in the middle sector, funnily enough. What about his old teammate Jake Marsh? Has he found something? As Jonathan Jurgensmeyer goes spinning for the final couple of corners. Penguru won't be improving either. Neither will Adrian Teiche. What about Nils Hartl? No, he will not either. So the big runners left to go, and the only runners left to go here in this session, is Jake Marsh and Juan Hernandez. Jake has found 5/10 of a second. He's looking to try and go Luke Davies, Tyler Pistilli sort of range, I reckon, here, but he needs a lot more than 5/10 of a second if he wants to achieve that status. Heading through Blanchimont, which is just about flat if your name is Jake Marsh. It's not because he's invalidated. That's unfortunate for Jake. What can the Spaniard do? Will he be the villain once again here in Formula Virtual Racing and take pole off Thomas Main? The home hero is on pole here in Belgium, but will it be Juan who takes it off him across the start-finish line? It won't be. He lines up 6th. Local hero Thomas Main is on pole position in Belgium.
I actually have to say, it's been quite a long time since we've seen Thomas Main on pole position.
He's usually a race pace guy, isn't he? That's an interesting pole.
Yeah, I'll have to consult the FVR stats to see this. When was the last time Main got pole? I know he would have got a few of them early on in FVR.
He's never. That's Thomas Main's first Formula Virtual Racing pole position. He's never been on pole. Oh no, he has. What? Apologies, he's on pole twice. Was on pole in Vietnam and in Japan in the first season. Brendan's saying, what? Like he's not reading the same stats as I am.
No.
Thomas Main takes pole here in Belgium. 153.267. Haas have a car on pole position here in Formula Virtual Racing. Liam Houseman takes second, followed by Lewis McWilliam in third. That's so disappointing for Lewis, because it looked like he was home and dry in this session. Ironic, I know. Luke Davies in 4th. Tyler Pistilli lines up in 5th. Last week's race winner won the race from 5th position. It's then Juan, Marsh, Anderson, Jurgensmeyer, Penguru, Taiche, Duab, Davis, Den Heyer, Hartle, Bune, Glennon and Gabadi. Folks, don't go anywhere. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ardennes Forest. Here at a circuit where it rained for 10 years in a row in the Belgian Grand Prix. It's a 7.004 kilometre circuit with 20 corners. That sees us race here today. A top speed of 376 kilometres down the Kemmel Straight. That has seen some fabulous moments over the years, including the first ever race, which Juan Manuel Fangio won. The famous Eau Rouge saw Tim Den Heyer and Jurvi Wessels have an unbelievable battle up the hill, down the Lecombe, or down towards the Lecombe chicane, further on in the lap at that Lecombe chicane back in Season 8. We saw Borbune and Kieran Spears have a very interesting battle in similar conditions to qualifying. It's a dry start here in Belgium. Further on in the lap as we head to the bus stop chicane, Luke Davies on his old teammate. It was a Mercedes and a Haas on that day, both in papaya orange McLarens for this evening's race. But we line up on the grid here in Formula Virtual Racing for the formation lap, just, ladies and gentlemen. We're not quite ready to go, or I say that. Are we ready to go for the formation lap? The Ferrari's certainly gone for it. Oh, I hope we don't have any issues. No, we're off in the formation lap now. Glenn's Ferrari just getting a jump start, it seems, on the formation lap. Here's your tyres of choice then. It'll be hards for Main, McWilliam, Davies, Pistilli, Marsh, Anderson, Panguru, Taisha, Duab, Bune and Gobadi. The mediums for Houseman, Hernandez, Jurgensmeyer, Davis, Davis. I always get him and Davies confused. That's Borbune's new surname. Confused is what I was trying to say. Andrew Davis starts on the mediums, followed by Tim Den Heyer and Niels Hartle and Chloe Glennon. Brendan, very interesting to see the front row both on different tyre choices.
Yeah, very, very interesting. As it's hard for Thomas Main and medium for Liam Houseman, and if I could tell you, these are two tyres that fit the personality of these drivers very much. It would seem odd, but it just does.
It is, and Brendan, just to confirm, is there rain coming in this race?
And you're going to tell me that something I preface saying that this system isn't great, and I was just reading off the screen of something is my fault.
No, I wasn't sure if I just misheard you or not, and you said there was rain at the start. Or you said there was rain at the end or something.
I
wasn't sure.
I had listed out Luke Davies' what I'd seen on
No, that's fine.
stream.
I was just double checking.
Hmm.
The rain usually brings a surprise here in Belgium, especially if you are in the year 1998, where there was a $13 million crash on the opening lap. Who caused it? Some say David Coulthard, some say the elements. I say Marcus Ericsson. As heading in towards Blanchimont now, we see Thomas Main just heating up his tyres and getting ready to go. Main is going to struggle to keep this lead in towards the Lacombe chicane unless Houseman gets an absolute shocker off the line, which he well could. It's unfortunately well within the capabilities of reality for Liam Houseman. Once again, to remind you your standings as we line up on the grid here in Belgium, it is Davies, McWilliam, Pastilli, Smith, Bune. 3 points separate the top two, and I believe it's a singular point that separate 3 and 4. It is. It's a singular point, but no Darragh Smith here this evening, meaning if Pastilli finishes the race in the top 10 or takes a fastest lap at any position, he does score some points. As I have a feeling that Glennon might get disqualified in this race start due to the glitch. As we line up on the grid then, and that's to go bad. He lines us up here in Spa-Francorchamps. 2, 3,
we meant to have a
4,
sprint.
5. Red light. No, Brendan, read the messages. And we go racing here in Spa-Francorchamps. What an excellent start that is from Thomas Main. What a great start that is from Lewis McWilliam. He's got the jump of the man on the mediums in towards the Les Source. Turn number 1, Pastilli getting a good start as well, as is Juan Hernandez. And here comes Jake Marsh looking for some spots. Shocker for the championship leader. He's down to 7th here, heading through turn number 1. Side by side, look at this. It's Penguru and Davis. Up Rouge and Radillon. Andrew Davis has got the run in the Alp. Fatarius, there's a crash in the background. There is a crash in the background. It's a Vestago body involved in it. But you look to pick up a nick. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this in towards Les Source. Or Lacombe, I should say. Let's look at the top 2 as well. It's 4 or 5 wide here in the background. Lewis McWilliam attacked Main in towards turn number 1. It's cost him time. And Liam Houseman is up into 2nd. Oh, he's just glitched in towards the right-hander of Bruxelles. What an excellent opening lap.
I don't really know what to say. And Davies now down to 8. Jurgensmajer's got ahead of him. Something doesn't look right with Davies here. This is... Yeah. Why is he struggling a little or something?
Oh, look at Pastilli. Pastilli around the outside of his old teammate Lewis McWilliam. Is the damage on board this Red Bull racing machine, or has Pastilli just got the mother of all exits? We'll try have a look if we could get a decent camera angle for once, please, Codemasters, on the Red Bull racing machine. Once he goes round, no, all good from a visual perspective. The biggest gainer on the opening lap was Jonathan Jurgensmeyer and Niels Hartl, who's up 3. And oh, that's Taisha gone round through the Kuntball Frere. I think he's just picked up a curb there or something. I just quite didn't have the temperature in the tyres. Look at Liam Houseman going for the race lead. We expected this as he's on the better medium tyre. Liam Houseman is going to lead another form of virtual race here across the opening lap. He is on the mediums, but he does lead here in Spa-Francorchamps. Luke has recovered a little bit, but he does have Juan Hernandez in front of him. Tyler Pastilli not able to get past Lewis McWilliam, and there's another bit of a moment here as all breaking into turn number 1. There's cars everywhere. Hartl round the outside of Den Heyer, round the outside of Marsh, and just look at Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. He definitely has an issue. He's rammed really wide through turn number 1 and had to extend on the exit. Marsh a 10th of a second adrift of Den Heyer as they head up through Rouge and Radillon. Goodness me, that Ferrari does not look good up there. He's had a huge wobble and now has Yuvraj Duab right behind him. Here comes the Alfa Romeo in towards the Lacombe chicane. Is he able to have a huge dive up the inside? Up the inside goes the Alfa Romeo, and that's just stupid racing.
If that is going to be something you probably would show in a karting briefing video, saying what not to do.
Yeah, he just dived it. He just dived it where there wasn't really a gap, and Yuvraj Duab has spun round, as has Jake Marsh, both in that incident. Marsh just did comebacks here in Spa-Francorchamps in previous years. I imagine he will be setting off on one again. Look at the Alpha Penguru. He's got a great run on Wong-Fei Anderson, heading through the right-hander of Campus and in towards the right-hander of Stavalo. Brendan.
I think I've just seen a bit of gravel just weirdly just sticking there, like the dust is sticking for a few seconds there. It probably didn't help some of them drivers. Anyway, Vestic Valley's up to 12. Looks like
Oh, look at this from Hernandez! Oh, look at this from Hernandez up the inside. Bastilli has to go off the circuit. Juan trying to make moves on these mediums. Thanks for that insightful piece of information, by the way, Brendan, as the Alpine is trying to get past Tyler Bastilli around the outside in towards turn number 1. Bastilli defending for his life on these hard tyres. Hernandez. Look at this from Juan, just trying to fish around the outside, just trying to get the exit. Pastilio, no, Hernandez has gone on the sausage curb and he's gone round, and Luke Davies will get another spot, as will Wongfi Anderson, and all will down towards Tim Denhire, and I imagine Investigo Badi will have a run on him as well. Just got on that sausage curb and the car spun round, tried to accelerate on it, didn't work, and the laws of physics were unfortunately against him. But that's another spot back for Hernandez, as that's Denhire who's gone off at the top of Eau Rouge, a real dangerous point to spin your car. Those all side by side here in the background as well. That's Neil Tartle ahead of Yap and Panguru. William stays in 7th.
Yeah, it's tough to say though. It's not too bad for Vestic Valley so far. He may have misinterpreted how to stop qualifying ban, but he's not misinterpreting how to try to get to the field up to 10th. And looking good, although that's actually...
that's Taisha out at the top of Eau Rouge. And with the virtual safety car, this will 100% be upgraded to a full safety car. I say that. It's probably the one time it won't do it. No, we're going to stay in the VSC. I thought that was almost a guaranteed safety car. As Adrian Taisha retires. And that's unfortunate for Taisha, because he's been on a really good run of form.
Yeah, this has been a bad season at all for Taisha. And to be honest, I would say with this VSC, if that had been a full safety car, I think the likes of Houseman, Niels Hartnell, Juan, Davis, Andrew Davis, would all have been in a predicament. Because you could have picked then, but would that have stretched the next set of tyres too much? Or would you prefer to wait where there might actually be that much lap difference and then you have to make up extra places?
Well, nobody into the pits yet. The only penalty is for Tyler Pastelli. You can see the virtual safety car out. As I say, nobody into the pits. Is there a bit of a backlog here? No, just seems to be the Delta causing a couple of hiccups. I tell you, it's worked out nicely for Houseman, because he's a 1.6 second gap all of a sudden due to this Delta. And he's going to have to slow down at some point, I imagine. Or Thomas Main has to speed up. Although it's meant to neutralise the race, the virtual safety car never really does. And I have to say, this is a long one. As Hernandez... drive-through penalty for speeding on the virtual safety car as we go racing. The Alpine's not got his Delta back in time, and Juan is not going to be enjoying his return to racing action here in FVR in the slightest.
Yeah, it's just not good for Hernandez. You spin, then you give yourself a penalty, you just don't need.
Well, he's going to feel a little bit hard done with the spin, because he was shoved off the circuit by Tyler Pastilli a little bit. Whether it was Pastilli's fault or not, that'll be reviewed in due course, but the Alpine not having a good time of things. 4th lap of proceedings here in FVR. Houseman, 2-second lead. Not shabby.
Yeah, Houseman, really nice lead. But that allows McWilliam to potentially take 2nd place. At the moment, though, he'd want to make a few moves, because Davies technically isn't actually losing that much out there by just being in 5th. He wouldn't lose the championship league today. So,
he wouldn't, but he wants to win the championship, doesn't he? He doesn't want to just not lose it. Oh, Houseman! Round through the bus stop and into the wall! It's happened again! When Liam Houseman's leading an FVR race, he just can't keep it through the final cut. How has he made that mistake? The Aston Martin is out of the Belgian Grand Prix. It's not just a spin or a bad moment. It's a full-on DNF. And the Aston Martin is out. Once again, we're under VSC, not full safety car. Oh, Liam. It's not good for Liam Houseman.
No.
That's a big point. That's a big opportunity gone.
And there of all places, you usually don't see a crash there. It's usually just a spin.
Yeah,
so
it's usually just
bad must have happened.
They go racing once again. But how has he gone so far out of the exit? Usually, Usually you have a bit of a moment, like we've both did it plenty of times, Brendan. You have a bit of a moment on the initial exit, but how has he lost it so far off the exit of the car? I don't get it. I really don't get it. There's so many mistakes in Liam Houseman's driving, and he's a good driver, but he just can't keep it on the circuit for more than 5 laps, it seems, this season. And he's out of the Belgian Grand Prix. Belgian fans will be delighted. That's the Dutchman's downfall that has what led to the Belgian drivers, I suppose, victory. If he does win it, it would help him. But the Scotsman has been rejuvenated by this little moment, as Hernandez has had another bit of a problem, I'd say. But just look at Lewis McWilliam gaining into the slipstream of Thomas Main. Is he going to go for it into the bus stop? No. Is he going to allow Thomas Main to outbrake himself? Which has kind of worked. Thomas did slightly outbrake himself. Lewis McWilliam going to try and get past Thomas Main in towards the Lacombe chicane. It's Thomas, usually a very fair driver, so I imagine Lewis will be fairly confident on going down the inside here, but he's got to try and get alongside first, and up Eau Rouge and Ranillon, Thomas knows exactly where to deploy his defensive tactics, an experienced veteran of lead racing versus the exact same thing just in a blue car. Here comes Lewis McWilliam then up the inside of Thomas Main in towards the Lacombe chicane. The Belgian fans are only hoping for one outcome, and it's for this man who's fallen into second to stay in front. It won't happen. Lewis McWilliam leads the Belgian Grand Prix.
Thomas looking for maybe an opportunity to slip back down the inside, but McWilliam's just not going to let that happen. It's going to be a long day here for Thomas now. If he's because the longer you wait to try to get McWilliam, the less chance you have. You may as well try to get back at him while you still have DRS and being close enough.
Oh, yellow flag. That's Nils Hartl who's gone round.
Yeah.
As Kyle Alberts just brought up a Liam Houseman quote that says, "Today I won't spin because Spa is genuinely one of my better tracks." Oh, Kyle Albert is just like the minister of downfalls here at Formula Virtual Racing. He'll always pick on them. He'll always pick up on them at some point. That's like the FVR version of a BR quote. Actually, you know what? That's giving me a content idea. Thank you very much, Kyle. As on lap 6 out of 22, Lewis McWilliam leads here in the Ardennes Forest, but it's not looking like a forest today. It is lovely and sunny here in Spa. The local village of Spa, of course, became popular in the 9th century for its healing properties of the water, which is the origin of Spa. And the world's oldest casino is also here, which began construction in 1763. There's your 2 annual Spa Grand Prix fun facts. I know it's not annual, but seasonal. Seasonal, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. That is the word. Thomas not falling away from Lewis, which is a positive sign if you like a bit of a dogfight, because he's still keeping nip and tuck here with the Red Bull, and Pistilli doing the same thing. Tony Pistilli's a great driver, isn't he?
Yeah, it's very, very good. And bad news for Davies. He's fallen outside 3 seconds.
Yeah, I think Pistilli might get it removed anyways.
Yeah, true.
Well, he could pick up another warning, as Marsh picks up 3 seconds. Few pinners actually. Juan Hernandez into the pit lane. Is he going to come out ahead or behind? Nils Hartl and Jurgens Meyer have come out behind as Den Heyer and Davis side by side. Oh, look at a straight line speed on that Haas. Tim Den Heyer up to 10th.
Yeah, it's very odd now. See, Hernandez actually, he's on the. Actually, that's Hartl making the move there into Lacombe. He's done well there. Got the move done before. That's it. It'll be a spread today.
Yeah, there's 18 seconds between Yuvraj Duab and Jake Marsh. Almost 19.
Yeah, that is. You don't really see that too often, especially in league racing. Although it looks like Marsh is going to try make a pass
here he comes, going for Panguru around the outside. Alpine versus Ferrari. That's a lush move from Jake Marsh. He's got that one done around the outside. Is he going to allow Panguru for the old switcheroo? He's not. Good defence from Marsh. Really good defence from Jake Marsh, and he's in 7th.
We've got Hernandez trying to fight Jurgens Meyer here. So,
this could be a fun one. This could be a double whammy for Juan. As I'm just going to stick to the front for a second, because Thomas is gaining on the Red Bull of Lewis McWilliam. No, not quite close enough. A sparkly gold helmet for Thomas Main. Look at this. Look at Hernandez. He's hunting for this one. Up the inside and towards Blanchimont. Brilliant move from Juan Hernandez. Excellent move from Juan Hernandez. But will it be 2 in the 1 as he's looking to get past Niels Hartl? As look at Juan. Look how late he breaks. He's just a bubble of confidence, isn't he, the Spaniard? No matter where he goes, this is his return, in quotations. It's just a reserve appearance for Juan, and he's still chucking it up the inside into Blanchimont on multiple occasions, as he's really an entertaining figure to watch. The Alpine, though, in 14th now, it's not really gone his way here, as, to be fair, Lewis McWilliam is not checking out against Thomas Main and Tyler Pistilli. They are still running well in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, doing well enough. That's now Hernandez.
Yeah, it's going to be easy pickings of Fields. He's on the much better tyres.
Say, it's been a quite enough weekend for Paul Bune. He's picked up points regularly, but it seems like today maybe he may just not be that day.
Yeah, he's not been great, has he? Bourbion running in 12th. I'm not sure if he's been involved in... Oh, he was involved in a bit of an incident, actually, with Avesta Badi up Eau Rouge. Maybe picked up a bit of damage, although it all looks good from a visual perspective, but that doesn't really mean much. Just Brendan, can I just point something out to you? It's getting very cloudy over this Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Now, I may just be being optimistic, but those are very dark rain clouds forming.
Yeah. But
and of course, this was meant to be a wet race, seemingly, according to the ever so reliable Codemasters radar.
Yes, indeed. There's a bit of good reliability. I believe Ferrari have tried to emulate them in real life.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So Thomas still doing the job to stick with McWilliam. However, this is really turning into the Legend and Lewis days, where Lewis would be able to stick with Legend, but at some point it would just slip away.
Yeah, you feel like at some point here Lewis is just going to turn on the afterburner. Yeah, he's a lot more ERS than Thomas. And dare I say Pistilli? No! Tyler Pistilli in the best situation from an ERS perspective. But you really do feel Lewis is just going to check out at some point, don't you? It's almost like he's waiting for it. Extended a bit through Stavolo. Still lapping a PB in Sector 2.
Yeah, is he going to check out now? Is the question. It's getting close to checking out.
He could easily do it on this lap. I'd love to hear... Oh yeah, it's a second now. I'd love to hear a weather report though. It's getting quite dull over here in Sector 3. The beauty of Spa is that it can be wet and dry in different parts of the circuit, not so much in FVR because, well, unfortunately it's a video game and I can't afford to rent out real racing circuits across the globe every weekend I should say. But yeah, gap's now over a second between Lewis McWilliam and Thomas Main. Gotta start to feel that maybe... Well, I'd like to think that Lewis isn't able to just pull away with this one and win it from an entertainment perspective. But from a logical perspective, you're starting to feel like he has the pace to do so, as there's a yellow flag. That's Bourbion who's gone round. This is one of Bour's probably weakest showings this season. There's 1 second, here comes Pistilli, up the inside into the Lacombe chicane. Tyler Pistilli is up to second, he's utilised that ERS advantage, and he's up and past Thomas Main here, heading through Malmedy. Good move. It's getting exceptionally dull here in Spa. Avesta Badi is up and past. Wong Fei Anderson is now as well for 5th. Great comeback drive so far here for Avesta, but Spa is probably his best track. Or in my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, I think he'd be hoping for a change of conditions because...
Or a safety car.
Well, yeah. One or the other, realistically.
Or both.
However, the question would be, how quickly will we be able to get through these other cars? Because
well, it's only Luke Davies, and then he's sort of back. He's in the podium fight. But Luke is 7.9 seconds up the road in no man's land, really. Jake Marsh picking up another 3-second penalty.
It seems like he's stuck in no man's land, and that will be a problem.
As of now, Lewis McWilliam would lead the Formula Virtual Racing World Drivers' Championship come the end of the evening, bearing in mind all stewards' reports. It will be the first time the championship lead has changed hands this season. Here comes Thomas Main looking to re-attack Tyler Pistilli in towards the Lacombe chicane. He's gaining and gaining and gaining on the Alpha Tower. He's going to be a lunge down the inside. He's certainly close enough, doesn't go for it in the end. Marsh hunting down Wong Fee Anderson down the Camel Straight. Here comes the Scuderia Ferrari on the Williams. Does he have the overspeed? See, Wong Fei has DRS off Gobadi as well. Here comes Marsh. Late braking round the outside. Oh, he's tapped him round. And now he spun round himself. That's a really bad couple of moments for Jake Marsh. Yafin Panguru going to take both these spots there, I say.
Yeah, he's definitely got the chance to.
Oh, he's actually bumped into the back of him. This is quality racing, even Formula Virtual Racing, as that's Juan Hernandez passed Borbune. As that's actually Yovraj Duab and Tim Den Heyer. Here comes Den Heyer around the outside. He was ahead, but he's defended the spot. Looked like Yovraj was going to take that spot off Tim, but Tim's held firm and he's kept it. Andrew Davis now looking to get past these as well. Lewis has got the gap up to 2 seconds for the halfway point of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, 2.1 seconds. And especially it's 2.5 seconds to the person who doesn't have a penalty, so it's not looking great here for Tyler or Thomas in terms of winning the race. However, for Luke, that championship lead doesn't look great, but he's going to go for another cut. And we just see what can happen. It is a long track. It could work out.
This could work out. I think we're going to stay dry to the end. It's not got as dull as I first predicted. Here comes Lightning Luke Davies then into the pit lane. As that's Jake Marsh in the pits in the background as well. Maybe a nick a damage or two on him. Here comes Thomas Main then, looking to get back up the inside of Tyler Pistilli. Is he? No, he's just... If that straight was about 100 metres longer, Main would be up the inside. Just not quick enough down the straight, I suppose you could say. That's Yovraj, who has gone round as Wong Fee Anderson, gone for the softs. Is this the sign that rain might be on the way and he's going for something different? It could just be a complete F-up, is the only way to say it. It could also just be that for Wong Fee Anderson. But I'm optimistic when it comes to Formula Virtual Racing. I think it'll have to be, otherwise this would be a horrendous job.
Well, nearly run it out, just going to be on the same stone. Tyler City has managed to make a little bit of gains, so we will keep an eye on that. And now I have to say, also, do you see Juan Hernandez? He did have a drive-through, but he's also changed tyres in all that time. So maybe he's trying something here for whatever reason. I'm just not sure what it might be.
He's trying something. It doesn't mean that it works, unfortunately, for Juan. He's done 6 laps on medium, but you know, there is a bit of rain, and then we will wait and see. Liam, unfortunately, seems to be very frustrated with himself as he's commented in the stream chat. I feel for Liam, I really do, because he's got good pace. It's just too many mistakes, and his friend Tim Den Heyer has made a mistake as well. He's gone round, and that's brought out a yellow flag. There's a yellow flag as well for Juan Hernandez, although I don't know why, because Juan is still running at a steady pace. Yathan into the pit lane now as well. Not too sure how he's not going to penalty for speeding. It certainly looked like he was going too quick, but just got the delta time down. There is pit crew members ready for Scuderia Ferrari and Mercedes as well. They might just be glitched, but, you know, realism and that. This is, of course, the league that makes you feel like a racing driver, which is our slogan. Have you ever heard it before? Guaranteed not, because it's never said, but that is technically the slogan. And back to the on-track action. Thomas and Tyler seem to just have identical pace here in this race, because it's almost the same scenario on every lap.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's just settled at this one kind of pace. They can't really do anything much to better themselves, because
Jake, another penalty for Jake Marsh, as that is Borbune in the pit lane. He's now last in this Grand Prix. This has not been a great result for Borbune. It's not been a great race by Borbune. He's going to be frustrated because he had a really good race in Hungary, despite the incident with Lewis McWilliam. He did have a really good race in Hungary.
Well, if Leeds United were getting on the fan of this Jake Marsh house, they would be safe from relegation by now.
No remorse from Brendan. Top 3 into the pit lane as Will Avestigobadi follows suit. He will. He'll come into the pit lane as well. All for the mediums, I presume. Did that Alpha just bounce into its pit box? I'm slowly going insane, I feel. All for the mediums. Lewis will come out in first. Thomas will come out in third. And Luke Davies, oh, here we go. Luke in towards turn number 1. I don't think he's going to be close enough, but just remember they are on cold tyres. There goes Luke, and Luke is a lot closer. So that has worked out for Luke Davies. He was over 3 seconds away. He is a lot closer. The top 3, though, he's not going to be able to catch back up. As a lot of time lost for Lewis McWilliam. Pastilli had a very good stop, it seems. He's almost back within a second. Really good stuff from Tyler Pastilli, who's going for his 4th podium of the season, 3rd in a row. He, of course, finished 3rd in the United States and 1 in Hungary. He's going for 2nd or 3rd here in Spa-Francorchamps. But if Luke can just keep gaining the way he gained on his outlap, that might not be the case for the man with the penalty here, as we're almost at the end of this Grand Prix already.
Yeah, actually, the Spa Grand Prix goes fairly quick, despite how long the actual lap is. Here, because it's going at such a speed that the 7 kilometer track doesn't really matter that much. That's it. Top Pastilli is doing well, keeping it in the second now.
He's got within the second now as well. Yeah, good stuff from Tyler Pastilli. As that's marsh round. That is marsh round through the X corner, and that's unfortunate for Jake Marsh, who just puts himself round. It's not been a great race. That's Nils Hartle out. Oh, this could be a safety car. This will be a real spanner in the works if it brings the safety car. That's Nils Hartle out of the race. Let's have a look and see how he's lost it. Oh, just heading through Malmedy. He's just got it on the gravel, hasn't he? I can tell you, that's what's happened now. No safety car, though. We stay green flag. Pastilli will be fuming. Davies will be fuming. But Luke is really catching this train. He's got a bit of clean air over the wheels. Luke doing excellent.
Well, I think it's not necessarily Luke doing it, but more Thomas just...
Could be a pace deficit for Thomas May.
Yeah.
Because he is losing time to Tyler Pastilli, and Pastilli is most certainly gaining on Lewis McWilliam. He's more ERS as well. This is genuine pace from Tyler Pastilli. He is flying here on the mediums in Formula Virtual Racing. It seems like another second stint masterclass from the Canadian.
Yeah, really comes on to his... Oh, wait.
Oh, it's level pegging. It's level pegging. Is Lewis starting to feel frustrated here? Is the pressure starting to get to the Scotsman? Lewis doesn't perform well under pressure. Is he starting to fluster? Pastilli seems like he has ice in his veins well and truly here, unless he picks up another penalty, and then I'd look like a bit of a muppet, wouldn't I? But I think it's a poo-hon, 7/10 of a second. Pastilli, what's he going to do here? Is he just going to... bide his time, as that's Hernandez, who has crashed up Eau Rouge, and into the wall goes Juan. Can he get it back going on the circuit? It's not been... Oh, and it's literally in the same lap. And Tyler Pastilli's got a 3-second time penalty. Well done, Evan. That's a commentator's curse, I reckon.
Well, either way, if Thomas May remembers what pace is, then he might get back in there.
He may do, but now it needs another 3 track limit mistakes from Lewis to make this level pegging. Although there could be a warning removed for Pastilli potentially. But we'll have to wait and see. He's got to get past the Scotsman first. That's Jovraj, who's picked up a penalty, and that's Borbune round. Or is it? No, there was a yellow flag for Bor, but doesn't seem to be a mistake. That's Avestigobadi actually starting him fast, and that Avesta. Yeah, picking up a strong P5 actually here. Not a bad result at all for the Ukrainian.
Yeah. Very interesting to see though. It seems like a best loose gap.
He's like the shark from Jaws, just looming behind the Red Bull. It's purple in the first sector because he does have the DRS as one of the fastest cars on the circuit in front of him. Just heading through Malmedy. He's losing a bit of time due to the dirty air, but that's alright if he sticks about 5 seconds, or 5/10 I should say, behind. Down the straight into the bus. Oh, apologies folks, my controller's died. That's not the first time that's happened in Formula Virtual Racing history. And by Formula Virtual Racing history, I mean in the last 2 weeks. You haven't missed anything, you just missed Borbune picking up a penalty. Apologies for that folks, but we're all good now. That is a 3-second time penalty for Borbune.
Yeah, Thomas Main here. Yeah, he needs Tyler Pastille to start going down the inside here because if that happens, he wins the race, well, barring a Pastille penalty removal or penalty removal with him. But he will provisionally win the race in that case.
Juan has pit for softs. There's definitely a fastest lap attempt going in there, and he's probably hoping that Lewis doesn't take the fastest lap. The fastest lap belongs to Avestigobadi. Lewis probably can't get the fastest lap because Bastilli is running a lot quicker than him. Juan picking up a 3-second time penalty. Lap 16 out of 22 here in the Formula Virtual Racing Belgian Grand Prix. It's not been your classic, oh my goodness me, it's raining, it's not raining Belgian Grand Prix, but this could still have the potential to go very wrong if your name is Lewis McWilliam, because he's leading here in Belgium. But he has that penalty, and he has a very hungry Tyler Pastilli who wants a second win. He's had a taste of FVR champagne, which is quite good, I must say. I've had a taste of it in Formula Virtual Racing Academy. Pastilli wants another little sup. Here comes the AlphaTauri going up the inside of Lewis McWilliam. Is Lewis just going to allow him through and let Pastilli do his thing to try extend the penalty gap? He does. Tyler Pastilli leads once again here in Belgium. What can Lewis McWilliam do? He might just stick behind and just bide his time as Pastilli's ran wide through Bruxelles. Hairpin. He's okay though. Stays in front. The Scotsman, I think he's just going to sit behind here, but that gap between Thomas Main and Lewis McWilliam is slowly coming down. Lewis just does not look the same on the mediums as he did on the hards. I wonder, is it a confidence issue or is it a genuine car issue or what's the problem here, because he's not running to the same level as he was before. And as of now, Thomas Main could win here in Belgium.
Yeah, he'll need to gain 3/10. Well, actually 4. But, yeah, Thomas Main, he can still smash second
because
here.
he's 2.7 behind Lewis.
Yeah, but Pastilli also has a penalty, and that doesn't matter.
Could be removed.
Yeah, so that would mean Pastilli win, Main second, Lewis third, Luke fourth.
Yeah, you make a good point. As Thomas's last race win in Formula Virtual Racing was in the Season 7 Belgian Grand Prix. This is the Season 9 Belgian Grand Prix, and he would become one of the most successful drivers here in Spa in Formula Virtual Racing history if he could win here. The Belgian fans would absolutely love that. It would be a fairy tale return as what's happening here. Lewis McWilliam goes clean around the outside of Pastilli. Don't think we were expecting that one. Here comes Pastilli though. He's got the slipstream now. Does he have the DRS? He does. So Lewis has not taken the DRS. Is that tactics from Tyler Pastilli? Is he going to go back down the inside of the Scotsman? No, stays behind.
Probably not the worst idea, because if he gets it on the straight the next lap, then he may not lose to win in provisionally to Main.
I wonder are these two working together? Former teammates, of course. I wonder how they think in the long run here. As Pastilli, just looks a little bit slow heading through there. I think Lewis may have started to turn back on the pace again. But this gap is still exceptionally close. One little error from Main or McWilliam, and this could go one way or another. It's swinging on a pendulum.
Yeah, it could go any which way here. Just don't know.
It is the second most successful Formula Virtual Racing winner versus the 28th Formula Virtual Racing winner versus the man who hasn't won in 2 seasons at his home circuit looking for the win. It's a real interesting conundrum here in Spa-Francorchamps. So we're going to start the 19th lap, which means we'll have 4 to the checker. Could go any which way. It's 2.8 now, the gap between. It's coming down between Thomas Main and Lewis McWilliam, which is the gap that he's got. Jake must have about 10 seconds of penalties at this point, or 10 penalties, I should say, as Jonathan Jurgens-Meyer loses the spot to Yovraj Duhab, who did very well on his debut, to be fair. He did decent. As we're actually going to take a look at the penalties now. It is 3 for Lewis, 6 for Pastilli, 3 for Davis, 12 for Marsh, 3 for Duhab, and then 3 for Bune and 6 for Hernandez. I wonder, is Juan going for a fast lap attempt? Not taking it yet. Pastilli, huge wobble. Huge wobble through late cone for Tyler Pastilli, but he's held it well.
Yeah, kept it there. That would be the main thing. The key for these.
The main thing. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry, folks. I apologise.
I wasn't intending that, but there's some things my pun genius. It frightens everyone. It's actually that's
Yellow flag for
Hernandez.
Juan Hernandez. He's been drowned, and Juan has had a shocker here today, unfortunately.
Just against the new aerodynamics, I see.
That's a bit mean, Khalil. Khalil's got how many warnings for Lewis and goes type in chat that haven't got sound on. Bit harsh. Didn't think it sounded that bad. Didn't think that pun was that bad. Bit harsh. Tyler Pistilli into the slipstream of the Scotsman. Can he just make one more move? As of now, it will be Thomas Main that takes the win. We're going to go gap to leader. He has it by about a tenth as Juan has retired into the pit lane. It's not the return that Juan would have wanted, to be honest. He will be back before the end of the season because he's already pretty much confirmed to do the last race, I believe, in replacement of Borbune. Don't question it, but seemingly yes, he is. And so we will see Juan back before the end of the season. 3 laps to go here in Formula Virtual Racing. We're going to keep gap to the leader on, I think, just to manage this gap. Basically, if you don't understand what's going on here, if Thomas Main finishes within 3 seconds of Lewis McWilliam and doesn't take a penalty, he will win the Belgian Grand Prix. Pistilli, I think, could be the decider here. If he goes for a move on Lewis McWilliam, that'll lose them both time, because they're battling, and Thomas Main will win the Grand Prix. If you're Lewis here, Brendan, and Pistilli does end up in front of you, are you battling it, or are you just going to sit behind and hope the gap works out?
Well, this all pertains to where you end up, because the key here for you is get ahead of the giant in the championship. That would be the thinking of it. Because Luke picking up, well, today it's about 12 points, and Lewis, he could potentially pick up 20. Well, that could potentially be P16. That could be just like 16 points either. So he might just be content to take the 18 and go.
Yeah, because he'd still gain over Luke Davies. And he'd take the championship lead over Luke Davies, because he's obviously going to finish in front of Pistilli. I think if Pistilli gets in front either way, gap now 2.7. This is a pressure cooker here in Spa-Francorchamps. This is a high pressure scenario for Lewis McWilliam, for Tyler Pistilli, for Thomas Main, and even for Luke Davies. Although he's not in the battle, he's going to be watching in front with eager eyes and hoping that his old teammate for 2 seasons at Mercedes is going to do a job from here and get in front of Lewis McWilliam. He's going to be hoping Lewis's former teammate for 1 season at Red Bull Racing is going to do a job for him and get in front of Lewis McWilliam. But you can't quite ever tell here in Formula Virtual Racing. We're on the penultimate lap here in proceedings in the Ardennes Forest. What an interesting end to this race this could be. It's 2.8 the gap. It's steady at about 2.8. It just seems like the pace hasn't quite been there for Lewis McWilliam. Or else the pace has been there, and Pistilli and Main are just running at an even better pace than they were in the hard tyres. I know Thomas Main was always very good in the mediums, all the way through his racing career. Thomas, of course, a veteran in league racing, raced them 2018 games, 2019 games. He's had a lot of practice, and what a result this would be if he could do it. It's going to be exceptionally close, as that's Yovraj Duhab up into the points here on debut as Marsh does pit for a front wing for a fastest lap attempt, I assume. Jake has been very good, actually, on taking fastest laps on different occasions, because he's got a few fastest lap points this season. We're on to the final lap of, or we're not onto the final lap of the Grand Prix, we're heading onto the final lap of the Grand Prix, is what I should say. This one is close. Also, just a fun fact, if Yovraj Duhab does stay finishing in 10th, he'll be the first ever Indian to score points here in Formula Virtual Racing. A great success for Indian League Racing. The last lap of the Belgian Grand Prix. 3/10 is all that's in it. The gap you're watching, folks at home, is the one between 3rd place and 1st. That number beside Dart FIFA on the left hand side of your screen is the one you're looking for. If that's over 3 seconds, This race goes to Lewis McWilliam. If that's under 3 seconds, this one goes to Thomas Main, and Lewis utilising his ERS. Has he saved it at the right time? He's burning. He's gone over the 3 second threshold. Thomas has nothing from the battery perspective. Has Lewis timed it perfectly? His timing for stuff like this is absolutely excellent at the best of occasions. Lewis is kicking into his second wind. Lewis is extending the gap, and it seems like Lewis McWilliam will take another Formula Virtual Racing career win. It'll be his 17th in his FVR career if that gap stays over 3 seconds. What can Thomas Main find here in these final couple of sectors? Heading through Puhan. Just don't know. That gap is extending. No, it's not worked out, as Yovraj Duab has had a bit of a spin. Lewis McWilliam has just timed it right, and Lewis will take the win here in Belgium. Thomas just wasn't quick enough, and there's a bit of gravel kicked up to just hurt Thomas Main's view through the Coupon Frere for the final time. It's going to be the Scotsman to take the championship lead heading into the penultimate race of the season in Saudi Arabia. It's going to be a 17th career victory here in Formula Virtual Racing for Lewis McWilliam, and his 5th win in 10 races this season. Here in FVR rounding, the bus stop chicane, he's almost got a second on the last lap. It is mighty from the Scotsman. Lewis McWilliam wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Pistilli will take third. Thomas Main gets second at home here in Belgium. It wasn't quite the famous win from the man from Antwerp, but he'll be happy to take second. Davies takes fourth and loses out to Lewis McWilliam. For the first time this season, the championship has changed hands. Investigo Badi will come home in 5th, 28 seconds off the leader. It was not a close one in the end. 8-10 separate, which I suppose is still a close one for Formula Virtual Racing, but for the top 5, we're at a different level. Yafin Panguru will come home in 6th for Alpine. It'll then be Wonfi Anderson who comes home in 7th, a sort of underrated performance, I suppose you could say. We haven't really spoken about it. Andrew Davis then, the American, will come home in 8th position. But Lewis McWilliam takes the win here in Belgium.
Yeah, say, still, he lost a bit of time now in the end. Do you think if he was able to remove that penalty, maybe that thing might have cost him the win?
What'd you say, sorry, Brendan?
You know, the time Stilly got that penalty. If that was removable, and considering how he lost time spinning himself across the line, do you think he might have just thrown away a win?
No, I wouldn't say so. He obviously knows it isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't removable. But still, he is. I don't think he's happy with it. As Borbune has got the fastest lap on the last lap, and unfortunately for Yovraj Duab, he's lost points. He's come home in 11th. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer taking the final points paid positions. Here is your podium then, ladies and gentlemen. And it will be Lewis McWilliam who stands tall on the top.
Well, that's the podium then.
And is Red Bull happy with another win? I think that's going to do well for Red Bull in the constructors. Obviously, it was only a one scoring car for Red Bull, but they still outscored McLaren, I believe. Meaning they'll gain points back in the constructors fight. It is Lewis McWilliam who wins the Belgian Grand Prix ahead of the Belgian himself, Thomas Main. It'll then be Pistilli in 3rd, followed by Luke Davies in 4th. That's still a decent performance from Luke. Spa's not a good track for Luke, and he's did well to get 4th. The problem for Luke is it's one of Lewis's best tracks next week in the former Saudi Arabia. But Investigo Badi in 5th, followed by Yafin Panguru in 6th. It's then Wonfi Anderson in 7th, Andrew Davis in 8th, followed by Timden Hart in 9th, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in 10th. Yovraj Duab finishing in 11th on debut. Borbune in 12th with the fastest lap. Jake Marsh in 13th, and your non-finishers were Juan Hernandez, Niels Hartl, Liam Houseman, Adrian Taisha, and Chloe Glennon. I believe we're going to have a few interviews hopefully we do. No one in the waiting room as of now, but I hope to get someone into it so we can talk to them. But Brendan, from here on out, surely Lewis has to be the favourite for the championship.
Yeah, it's in his hands now. If he doesn't win this, it wouldn't look very good for him. And Luke's going to have to do a lot, realistically, in order to get this, or needs a lot to happen.
Luke needs to win a race. Luke needs to win a race, unfortunately, because he needs the confidence booster. He's not won since the second round of the season, but I can't see him winning at Saudi or Brazil, if I'm totally honest, so it's going to have to be a masterclass from Luke if he's going to take it. But let's forget about Luke Davies for a moment. Let's bring Tyler Pastilli and Thomas Main into the interview channel. Hello, gentlemen. Can you hear us? You're both on mute, by the way, just in case you didn't realise.
Hello, yes. Hi.
Tyler, hello. Once again, congratulations on a third podium in a row. It's not quite been the success of last week, but still some solid points. You're now comfortably third in the championship. Talk us through that one from your perspective.
Yeah, honestly, I was really surprised with myself. The start of the race, I nailed it. I got past Juan somehow. But I ended up picking up some penalties, and that really screwed up the end of the race for me. But overall, I'm really happy with where I finished. So.
Well, it was a good performance from you. You've been on a great run of form, and you managed to keep with Lewis for the entire second stint. Where were you lacking for taking the win? Was it just a case of you just didn't have enough pace, or were you slower on the straights, or a bit slower through the corners, or what stopped you from taking the win today?
Well, yeah, it's mostly just pace for me, honestly. I was quick through the corners, but some I just couldn't get right throughout the entire race. I kept locking up everywhere, and yeah, Lewis just kept nailing it. He's just so incredibly quick everywhere. He's really quick through the straights, and he somehow kept gaining on the corners, even with that straight line advantage. So I'm just bewildered.
In terms of the championship then, obviously it's a bit too far of a gap for you to catch to second. Is it all just about confirming that third place now? Because you're in a very good position to do so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, honestly, I'm pretty well happy with third. I know I can't really catch the front two right now, but I can do that. I can keep doing the best I can and hold my position, and yeah, just hope for the best.
Brendan, any questions?
I'm just asking, see, with the penalty you had from battling one, was that you just running off the track yourself and you know it was a penalty, or was that just something you think?
Sorry, hold on. My parents are doing some construction there. Repeat the question, please.
Oh, yeah, no problem. So basically, when you were battling one and then you picked up the penalty, was it in your mind to remove it during the race, or was it more that you actually picked up the penalty properly and you couldn't do much about it?
Yeah, it was more I couldn't really pick it. I can't do much about it. So,
well,
we was just hard racing. It was fair. It was clean, and yeah, it's even if I wanted to, I don't think I could. So.
I think that's one of the first times someone's just said a battle with Juan is clean, whether it was or not. Thank you very much, Tyler, for joining us. We're going to let you go. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, because obviously you're a few hours behind us in Canada. But we do hope to chat to you again for the end of the season. Thomas.
All right. Thank you.
Thomas, can you hear us?
Yes.
Well, congratulations, Thomas, on second place in your home Grand Prix 2 seasons after you won it. You only lost it by 0.8 of a second. Just talk us through how the race went for you.
Yeah, man, pole wasn't great, but then of course I tried to keep the lead, and Liam overtook me, but he had some terrible Wi-Fi, I swear, man. His car was going all over the place, and then he got out of the second because of it, and then he crashed, of course. So that was, yeah, good, but then at some point, of course, Lewis catches me, overtakes me, and he's just quicker, and he's also the smarter driver than me, better DRS mentioned, etc. That's why he got out of the DRS. And then with Hemi, yeah, he just got some fantastic pit stop and just got out of DRS just about. And I was trying to get back in, and I just almost lost the car. Lost like 4, 5, 6 tenths. And yeah, that was well over. I thought I was gonna go for only third, and then yeah, I saw my pace was not too bad. I can follow the guys. The times were very close, and yeah, just really disappointed at the end to not win. But yeah, it's just a great weekend. Taking pole, first time in 7 seasons, 8 seasons. I don't know. Yeah, fantastic.
Will we see you again for the end of the season, Thomas? 2 races left. Will we get to see maybe another pole lap, or just see you on the grid again before the end of the season?
I don't know, man. I don't think so. It was a one-off return. I think so. Because yes, I mean, if I stayed in FVR all the time with all the pressure, I don't think I could have today at that pace. I think I would have fallen back to 4th or 5th. But now, if I just focus on myself, do other stuff, and then I can gain a lot more pace, and I think it's just a lot more fun than to just drive this race in FVR sometimes just for fun, And of course, I have to thank Khalil, who is engineering me today. It was absolutely beautiful, man. It's just so much fun. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you very much, Thomas, for joining us. We do appreciate that. Mr. McWilliam, can you hear us?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, that went quite well, didn't it? You didn't manage to take pole, started on the second row, which is sort of an unfamiliarity for you these days, but you managed to take the win, gaining almost a second over Thomas Main in the final lap. Talk us through that one.
Yeah, it was pretty. Pole was like, I usually, if I had that gap, well, no, I don't even think the gap was that big, but yeah, there was nothing wrong with my laps. I just didn't have it, I suppose. But I did see in the race, Thomas and Tyler, and I think also Luke, all had higher wings than me. So that worked, obviously, against me in qualifying and for me in the race. But it definitely helped. I don't know what happened with Hemi's pit stop, but he gained about a second on me and about a second on Thomas, so he blazed that apparently. And yeah, just after that, I was trying to keep it as far in track limits as possible. I wasn't pushing at all. I was trying to just keep it in. But then I obviously got 3 seconds, so I just went off. I kept all my ERS, well, the majority of it for the last lap, because I knew Thomas was using all of his. I could see from the stream that Thomas was using all of his. So I just made sure I had that advantage on the last lap to use it all and get ahead of him.
Well, it may have taken you 10 rounds longer than you would have wanted, but you finally lead the Formula Virtual Racing World Drivers' Championship. Is it clean sailing for you to the end, or is this going to be a bit of a dogfight until the checkered flag in Brazil?
I mean, it's certainly not plain sailing, because, anything can happen in Saudi. I could DNF. Could do anything. Also, same with Luke could DNF. I could spin, he could spin, anything is possible, I suppose. I would say 5 points ahead now, Saudi Arabia next. If I can come out of there after the sprint and the Grand Prix with 10 points on Luke, I think I can start to not relax and give up, but sort of calm down a bit. Because I feel like Luke would need something big, whatever he is capable of. He's beaten me many times over the few seasons we've raced against each other. He's definitely capable of something big, but if I had 10 points or more over him before Brazil, then I think he would need something big to happen. Certainly for his race. That's nothing against Luke, that's just the way it is with the gaps. For the points and also just in the races. I don't know what my gap time was today, but I didn't see him all race past turn 1, so I wasn't really looking to him, more to Thomas and that.
Hey, Brendan, any questions?
Let's see. Next week, Saudi Arabia. How do you feel about obviously Saudi Arabia and then Brazil as the final tracks for your championship?
Saudi Arabia is massive, but I just need to limit my expectations because I went at France the wrong way and look at that game out. Because obviously in France I was unhappy with anything but first, and I dropped from first, and got in my own head about it. So I kind of need to treat it like any other race. It's obviously a really big opportunity. It's probably my best track, if not second best track. So I need to take the opportunity that I have, but also not make it. So I'm thinking in my head, if I don't win, it's a bad race, because either way, I could finish ahead of Luke in both the sprint and the Grand Prix, even if it's P2, and there's someone off in the lead by a mile ahead of me. I'm still going to gain a good amount of points. I just kind of need to limit my expectations, because I don't want France to happen again.
Well, Lewis, thank you very much for joining us. Do greatly appreciate that one, and well, hopefully we get to talk to you again. It will be an exceptional fight to the finish, ladies and gentlemen, here in the Formula Virtual Racing season. Lewis and Luke are about hyped up for it, and there's 5 points separating them with 2 rounds to go. Saudi Arabia as a penultimate round of the season is a fairly controversial one at the best of times, ladies and gentlemen, and you definitely do not want to miss it. But from myself and Brendan, thank you very much for joining us. Stay safe, stay well, and we shall see you next time.